All right, welcome back, everyone. This is Ebony again, a.k.a. Fit Mom Diva of Simplicity Health Style. And today we have Miss Kaneisha with us. How are you, Kaneisha?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm awesome. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend with us and drop some jewels. You guys, if you stick around to the end, you'll have an opportunity to earn a complimentary gift. So stick around and let's see what she wants to share with us today. So, Kaneisha, so we get to know a little bit more about you. Can you share just one motivational quote that really inspires you, something that encourages you and gets you going?
Of course. One thing that is actually, or one quote, I guess, is that is actually very, very close to me, and I've actually had it in my phone as a reminder for a few years. It pops up in my phone around noontime every single day. Is do what is pleasing to God, not what is convenient to you. I'm a Christian, and for me, sometimes it's a little hard to stay focused and on the straight and narrow. So I think, as Christians in general, it's not just like the easy peasy, walk on Elm Street. To just, do things according to God's will all the time. So that reminder just kind of puts things in perspective, because it's very easy to do what's more convenient for me and what's easy versus what's doing what's, according to God's will and what's right. So I always, revolt that back to that, whether it's, driving in traffic and not letting somebody over because they knew that the lane was merging versus,
Yeah.
doing, what's the right thing to do as a
Yeah,
Christian.
I love that. Anytime that you can gravitate towards what's loving towards someone and that's compassionate and caring towards someone, you're always going to win, right? But we all know that, when we're, inundated, especially with a lot of stress and overwhelm and frustration in our lives, that could be very difficult. And
Yeah.
especially when we have a goal or a dream in mind that we've been working hard toward, and then external circumstances come in and challenges
Mhm.
come in, and sometimes we lose sight of what we're here to do and
Right.
how we're here to serve people. So can you talk a little bit about a time in your life where you didn't necessarily see the light at the end of the tunnel and you had to overcome some obstacles, but at the end of the day, you were able to persevere and you were able to see that goal or that dream to fruition?
Right. There actually was a few things that has happened, I guess, with me being a young professional. But I think, like you mentioned, they all were kind of things that we've all kind of been through. But one thing in particular that stuck out was when I was in high school, which most people wouldn't, you're in high school, it's not really that, nothing really that serious. But one thing in particular was when I believe I was a freshman trying out for the next year of cheerleading. So I'm super into cheerleading right now. I'm a college cheerleading coach also, and we're trying out for cheerleading. And at that time, I was captain of the freshman team, trying out for the varsity team. And I was helping people who hadn't cheered before. Everyone was coming to me. We were meeting up, and I was like the lead of helping everybody, get prepared for tryouts. But I was also trying out myself, and everyone made the team but me. And so that was a time in my life where I was just like, I was, Christian still, doing everything right. I was considered like the good girl who, practiced, I studied, I always did everything right. And I just didn't understand, like, how did everybody make the team but me? So that really took a turn for me of just understanding, like, as a Christian, um, everything is not going to just happen for you just because you do things according to the way that you think that you should do it. And then also, just as a, just as a Black female, it also allowed me to kind of take the blinders off to see that sometimes we do things, that we should be doing, and it just doesn't happen. And it has nothing to do with us. It may have things to do with whoever's on the other end, society. But that time in my life just really opened my eyes to just a lot of things, as far as just me being a Christian. And then again, just the society that we live in. Um, but again, I feel like if I would not have gone through that little nitpick in my life of just not being able to make the team, and being that support system for everyone else and seeing them succeed, my faith would not be what it is today. And that boosted me to, move on and then be a captain of varsity and, move on to cheer in college and captain in college and, just to be super successful. I don't think I would have had the drive that I did because my mindset would not have been the same. It would have been the same as you do right, you do good, you get good. Not, having this different perspective of sometimes things will happen and God may not explain it to you. You just have to trust him and move forward.
Yeah, and that is so true. There has been plenty of things that I wanted to occur in my life or, that I planned for and it didn't come to pass. And actually, when I look back on it, it really didn't even matter because what happened after that was actually better than what I had planned or what I thought I was missing out on. So a lot of times now when things don't happen the way that I was expecting it to happen, I kind of look back on those previous moments and I say, okay, big deal. My life is not over just because I didn't get X, Y, Z, so like it allows you to appreciate those times when you didn't get what you were asking for.
Right.
You should get, so it's always one of those things that everything has to just be looked at as a learning experience and that, there's always going to be good. Just same way there's, bad things that happen to you, there's always going to be good too. And a lot of times more good than bad.
Yeah. And I think those times also allow us to see how small our ass was.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Yeah. Where it doesn't happen, but then so much greater happens. You're like, dang, I should have been asking for something way bigger than that.
Bigger than that. Exactly. Exactly. So when it happens to you enough times, you finally get to that realization like, well, I'm sure there's something bigger and better for me.
Right.
So yes, I love that you mentioned that because I think a lot of us struggle with sometimes with, oh, well, why didn't I get that job? I was qualified for that job. I had a friend that she applied for a job with the World Trade Center, and had she gotten that job, she would have not been here today. So, she was well qualified for it, and she didn't understand what in the world. I mean, I went on 3 interviews with these people, and they're not offering me the job. And so, you look back on certain circumstances and you say to yourself, okay, well, that was not for me. And now I see exactly why it wasn't for me.
Right.
So, talk a little bit about how we can gain support and when we're feeling like, say, for instance, your family and friends, they want to be able to support you, but they don't know how to support you in the endeavor that you have for yourself. Because sometimes people are just unfamiliar with what it is that what you're aspiring toward, and they don't know how to support you. Or you might have the opposite. They know exactly how to help you, but they don't want to support you. So offer some words of encouragement for people that feel like they don't necessarily have a whole lot of support in their endeavors and their dreams, and maybe some challenges that you've gone through yourself with that.
Okay. I will say that I just remember in undergrad how my family, I was a first gen college grad. So I guess it was kind of weird for my family too, because they didn't really know, how to support someone going to college because I was the first one. But it was really important to me just how they were just present. And they always showed how proud they were of me. And I really remember just really valuing that, coming home for the holidays, and people genuinely wanting to know like how I was doing. Even while I was in school, just getting the random text messages, hey, just checking in on you. That was very important to me because, sometimes in life we are so consumed with building and growing and trying to be better and successful. And people kind of just let us be. They don't, I guess, make their presence known. And it's so important just to know that people see us and that we are, valued. So I think that is something that I really, really value. It's just people allowing me to see that they are present and that they see me and they support me without, being over the top, checking on me every day or having some kind of strategic plan or whatever. But just saying, hey, I was thinking about you today. Hope all is well. Simple text message, simple phone call, when I'm in town, linking up, things like that. As far as, not really knowing how to support people, I'm super big on communication. So if you are in a situation where people don't really know how to support you or whatever, but you know, like things that you miss, like when you have friends, some friends, they could not talk for months and then they see each other and it's nothing's changed.
Right.
And then some are the complete opposite, where I haven't talked to you for months, so now we're not friends no more. Communicating with people and letting them know, like, well, you know, I haven't really talked to you in X, Y, and Z. It would really be important if we communicated a little bit more. That would really let me know that you actually care, or, you know, maybe just checking in every now and then, just communicating with people and letting them know, like, what's important, so that they know how to support you, I think would be important.
Yeah, you brought up something that is so awesome, because we all communicate in different ways and we all have different needs. I was just talking to a friend yesterday where me and the person, we hadn't talked to each other in probably like, I don't know, 2.5 weeks. And we just kind of like picked up from where we left off, and it wasn't even anything that was a big deal. But there are some people that if I let 2.5 days go by, they're going to be flipping out. Like, why are you talking to me? I'm like, do you know that some of my best friends, I will let 2.5 months go by and we pick back up where we left off? And this is like a best friend, and I barely even know you, and you're flipping out over 2.5 days. So yes, I think that is so important to be able to, you know, tell somebody when you need more communication, because the other person is not necessarily going to know. I mean, I can't read your mind, so.
Yes, and I think a lot of people think that, like, people are just supposed to know.
Right. I'm sorry to tell you, but yeah, like I said, there are people that I don't talk to for months on end, and as soon as we talk again, we pick right back up as if we talked 2 minutes ago.
Right. And I love
we understand that, you know, as adults, you know, we understand that. So I think when it's time to find a support system, if you're feeling like you're not getting the type of support that you need from a certain individual, then yeah, just let them know. Because most times people are just in their own world. They're particularly busy in our society also. You know, they're taking care of their own needs, they're taking care of their own families. What if they're depressed? Here you are upset because they're not talking to you, and person's over here depressed, waiting on you to reach out to them. You know, so yes, I think that, you know, just opening up your mouth is something that's actually talk a little bit about overwhelm and busyness too, because that is a real big thing. Sometimes even if you have support from people, you might feel like, I'm just so overwhelmed and frustrated and busy all the time that I can't really put forth the energy that I need to carry out my plan from A to Z. And a lot of times we're not giving ourselves enough self-care. We're caring for everybody else, particularly women. We're caring for our families, we're caring for our friends, we're caring for the boss, caring for everybody except for ourselves sometimes. And we don't necessarily always know how to delegate. So talk a little bit about the relationship between self-care and us realizing our dreams, and then maybe some self-care practices that you use, or maybe even some challenges that you face with self-care for yourself.
Okay. It's funny you mentioned that. I just was talking to my mom last night about me feeling overwhelmed. I am one of those people where I've always functioned on like a full plate. Like currently, I do my full-time job. I'm a grant administrator at the college up here. I coach cheerleading at one of the universities. I'm a dance coach at another university. I do freelance photography. It's like I do all this extra stuff. Mentor, I volunteer. And I was just telling her, like, I feel like, and I'm about to start a connect group with church. And I was telling her, like, I feel like I can't catch my breath. I just moved. And so I think in those times, just having someone who is like super level headed, she is one that's like, no, I'm not going to do one thing, maybe two, to kind of like balance you out and get you together is very, very important, because she is one that's like, okay, do you think, you know, it's important for you to do that? What days are you doing this, this, and that? So she will kind of go through the logic with me.
Right.
But then also outside of doing that, because I'm super organized as well. So I think that is why I'm able to do a lot of things, is because I go by schedule. So I'm super organized. But But then outside of that, volunteering is one of the things where I'm able to kind of pull back, and I consider that like a self-care thing for me. Just being able to go out and volunteer, whether it's in the community. I love to do things like feeding the homeless. Habitat for Humanity is a big thing for me. And just being around real normal people outside of like the workplace or professional type of events is super therapeutic for me. So I always try to make sure that I don't go too long without doing something on a volunteer track, because for me, it's therapeutic. So I think it's very, very important to, build yourself, build your career, be successful, but also make sure that if you have to schedule your self-care time, schedule it. I have a good amount of friends who also, like, they go, whether it's every 2 weeks or every month, they do their massages or their manicure, pedicures, but they make sure that they get that done. And if they don't do anything else, they make sure that they make their self-care time. So I think if you are one of those people that you're always doing things, if you have to schedule it because it's not as easy for you to just, take care of yourself, make sure you do that if you don't do anything else, because it's important. You can get burnt out, and then next thing you know, everything is falling apart. So then it's like, okay, now it's all pointless.
Yes, and that is so true. You can get to the point of exhaustion, and then you're going to be taking a whole lot of self-care because you're burnt out.
You have no choice.
You have no choice, exactly. So why not spend that time, actually doing something that feels good to yourself? And it really doesn't even require a whole lot of time. People actually, they relish in self-care in so many different ways too. I've heard people talk about how they'll just sit and pretty much look at all 4 walls. That people talk about they take bubble baths. Some people go and garden and take a walk or color in a coloring book.
Yes, I have one of those.
Different for everybody. It's just taking that time that you need just for yourself, where you don't have to worry about anybody else. You're just feeding your own spirit. And a lot of times, if you could do that on a regular basis, then you'll have a bit more, fulfillment and meaning in your day as well. And don't feel bad if, there are days that go by that you can't, indulge in self-care because you had a super busy day. That's okay. As long as you're putting it in there, I would say at least a couple times a week. Those couple times a week might not even really be a whole lot, but it adds up. And when I say a couple times a week, I'm not talking about go get a manicure or pedicure a couple days a week. Self-care does not have to be something that you are spending money on. A lot of times people feel like it has to be a pedicure or manicure. It doesn't have to do that. As I said, it can be something simple as you sitting down coloring a coloring book, or you're writing a poem, or whatever you enjoy doing, painting. I know one girl, she talked about how her job, her 9-to-5 job was like so boring to her, and it was not allowing her to use her creativity. And she was a very good artist. So she didn't feel fulfilled in the day until she could spend a few minutes painting something. And that doesn't mean that she had to paint a masterpiece, but she had to spend a few minutes each day painting in order for her to get that fulfillment that she needed in the day. So imagine if she worked this 9-to-5 job that she couldn't stand, that wasn't allowing for creativity over a course of time, and she wasn't providing her with self-care. Just imagine how that's going to affect how she treats the people around her. So I always say that self-care also helps with this world as far as you being able to treat the next person with respect and kindness and compassion, all the things that you talked about at the beginning of the interview, and then they feel good, and they treat the next person with respect and kindness and compassion, and they treat the next person. They create a ripple effect by us just simply taking care of ourselves. It can be hard to do, in Western culture society. When I travel to different places, I noticed that they can sometimes be so much happier with just a little shoe in their hand. And here we are complaining about some of the most petty stuff that we complain about. But a lot of it stems from, we just don't feel good. We get stressed out, we're overwhelmed, we're frustrated, so everything's a big deal.
Yeah. Agreed.
Thank you so much for just sharing everything that you did today. Any of you that are listening, if you feel like you want to share your experiences, if you also struggle in any of the areas that we talked about, and you want to be able to empower other women that are listening, reach out to me. All my contact info is in the description box, and all of Kaneisha's contact info is in the description box as well. And for any of you that are listening, if you want to connect with me on Facebook, I have a Nutrition for Busy Women Facebook group. It's nutrition, the number 4, busy women. You can join that. And I have free resources that I give to people to really help them identify what their gifts are, what their true personality type is, and just look at ways to integrate your experience with your strengths so that you can begin to serve people in a more fulfilling way. Because a lot of times I'll talk to women that it looks good on paper what they're doing, but they're not necessarily fulfilled in their industry and in their career and in their life purpose. So if you need help with a foundation, I can definitely help you in that way. And Kaneisha is definitely welcome to collaborations as well. So as I said, you'll find all of her contact info in the description box as well. But Kaneisha, would you like to share any last words of encouragement? Anybody that's listening and they're saying to themselves, you know, I'm listening to everything you and Ebonie are saying, but I'm just stuck. I don't know where to start. And I don't know if I have the discipline to even continue, even if I did start. Do you have any last words of encouragement for those ladies?
I say do it anyway. One thing that I have really kind of learned as I've kind of got to the point where I am now, and I'm still growing and learning, is just being super hesitant. It doesn't really get me anywhere. I didn't really start moving and seeing results until I started taking risks. It's really awkward and it feels weird and you feel like, you know, you're doing too much. And I think as women, we do that way too often than we should. So I think, you know, the one thing or word of advice that I would give is take risks. You know, do it anyway. I should get a t-shirt that says do it anyway. Because I feel like that is how we should be living. And I think we will definitely start to get the results that we want way quicker and more often than we are now. So that is one thing that I definitely would encourage us all to do.
Yes. Thank you so much for that. And that is so key. And a lot of times, you know, we may have had that dream or that vision since we were 8 years old, and we just keep stopping ourselves. Nobody else is stopping us. We're just stopping ourselves. So I strongly suggest, you know, taking the steps forward to bring it to fruition. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be done in a day or a month or a year. You know, some things take a little longer as long as you're taking baby steps in that direction. I think that's what sometimes we can get hung up on, oh, this should be, you know, already done by now. And not necessarily. I mean, some good things take a while to actually bring to fruition. But as long as you're celebrating your successes and you're taking those baby steps, keep with that. Just be consistent with those motions.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kaneisha. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Yes. I love doing these because every time I do these, ladies will always connect and they'll say things like, oh, you know, Kaneisha said such and such, and that inspired me to do X, Y, and Z. So I hope for any of you listening that this was inspirational and that it moves you into action. And if you believe that this can benefit someone else, share it out with them, because a lot of times we may feel like, you know, maybe we have it all together, but that doesn't mean your family and friends have it all together. So share this content out with them so they can learn as well. And as I said, if you want to connect with me on Facebook, you can, or if you are not on Facebook and you want to connect with me on a different platform, send me an email. On my contact info, as I said, is in the description box. Just send me an email and I'll connect with you in a different way. Thank you, Kaneisha. I appreciate you. And wherever you are in the world, always remember to live a life full of meaning and purpose. I'll talk to you in our next episode.